Chloe's hands were sweating so badly, she almost dropped the folder in her grip. The living room in front of her looked like it belonged in a billionaire movie. Marble floors that reflected the chandelier, a grand staircase that curved like a sculpture, and silence so heavy it felt like a person standing behind her, judging her breath. Then the door behind the sofa opened, and that silence got sharper. Footsteps. Slow. Controlled. Like the man walking wasn't just entering a room. He was taking ownership of the air inside it. Chloe turned. Han Jun-Woo. He wasn't just handsome. He was the kind of handsome that made you feel unsafe to stare too long, like you'd be punished for noticing. Sharp jaw. Dark hair combed back. Eyes so cold they looked like they'd never once begged for anything in their entire life. A black suit that fit him like a warning. He didn't offer a handshake. He didn't smile. He looked Chloe up and down the way a man would inspect a weapon, checking if she'd jam when it mattered. "You're late," he said, voice deep, clean, and merciless. Chloe swallowed. There was traffic at the gate. The guards. "They don't delay people," he cut in. "People delay themselves." It should have annoyed her. It should have made her walk out and find another job. But Chloe didn't have another job. She'd spent the last week sleeping on her friend's couch, refreshing her phone like it was oxygen. Rejection email after rejection email. Bills stacking. Hope thinning. This was the only interview that actually replied. And it didn't look like the kind of place that offered second chances. Jun-Woo sat in a single armchair across from her, not behind a desk, not with paperwork, just watching. Like he wanted to see if her hands would shake, if her voice would crack, if fear would make her lie. He pointed to the seat opposite him with 2 fingers, lazy but commanding. Chloe sat. Jun-Woo's gaze didn't soften. "My daughter needs a nanny," he said. "Not a mother." Chloe's heart tightened, not because of the words, but because of the pain behind them. Pain he was refusing to admit existed. She nodded carefully. "I understand. You will not pretend this is your home," he continued. "You will not get comfortable. You will not form attachments that make you forget why you're here." Chloe forced herself to breathe evenly. "My job is to care for your daughter. That's what I'm here for." Jun-Woo leaned back slightly, eyes narrowing. "And what makes you qualified?" Chloe opened her folder, but her hands were steady now. "I've worked as a nanny for 6 years. I have certifications in child care, first aid, early childhood development. I can cook, help with homework, plan routines, create structure." Jun-Woo's gaze flickered to her lips as she spoke, then back to her eyes like he caught himself. "You've worked with wealthy families." "Yes. And you've worked with difficult children." Chloe hesitated, then answered honestly. "Children are rarely difficult. They're usually just hurt." For the first time, Jun-Woo's expression shifted. Not warmth, not approval, but something like interest. The room stayed still. And then, a small sound, a soft giggle, like a bubble rising to the surface and popping. Jun-Woo's eyes snapped to the corner of the room. Chloe followed his gaze. A curtain moved slightly, and a little girl's face peeked out. Round cheeks, big curious eyes, hair tied neatly with a ribbon. She looked like she'd been trying to be invisible, but failed because her curiosity was stronger than her fear. "Sora." Chloe's chest softened instantly. She smiled, warm and gentle, and didn't say a word. Just smiled like the girl belonged. Sora stared back, then her lips twitched. Another tiny giggle escaped her. And in that split second, Han Jun-Woo's cold facade cracked. Not wide. Not enough for anyone else to notice. Just enough for Chloe to see a flicker of something in his eyes, something almost stunned, like he wasn't used to hearing laughter in his own home. His jaw tightened immediately after, like he hated that he'd felt anything at all. "Sora," he said, voice lower now. "Go back." Sora froze. Chloe wanted to speak, but she didn't. She just kept smiling, slow and patient, letting the child decide for herself whether she was safe. Sora didn't move. Jun-Woo's gaze cut back to Chloe. "Dangerous now. You think you can do better than my staff." "I don't know your staff," Chloe said softly. "But I know your daughter is lonely." Silence. Jun-Woo's eyes sharpened like a blade. "You don't know anything about my daughter." Chloe held his gaze calm. "Then let me." Jun-Woo stood. The movement was sudden enough to make the air feel smaller. Chloe didn't flinch. He walked toward her, stopping close enough that she could smell his cologne. Expensive, dark, clean. His voice dropped. "This job is not like others. My home is not safe the way you think safe is. If you can't handle rules, you will leave." Chloe's throat tightened. but her voice stayed steady. I can handle rules. And danger. Chloe looked past him, back to the curtain where Sora still hovered, watching like a little ghost. Chloe answered honestly. If it keeps a child safe, yes. Jun-Woo stared at her for a long moment, like he was deciding whether she was brave or reckless. Then he turned his head slightly and spoke without looking away from Chloe. Sora, come here. Sora stepped out slowly, tiny feet padded across the marble. She stopped beside him, fingers twisting the hem of her dress. Jun-Woo looked down at his daughter, and for a brief second his eyes softened again, even though he tried to hide it. This is Chloe, he told her. She might be your nanny. Sora glanced at Chloe, then whispered, she has kind eyes. Chloe's heart clenched so hard it almost hurt. Jun-Woo's mouth tightened, but Chloe saw it. His throat moved as if he swallowed something bitter. Sora took one step toward Chloe. Jun-Woo's hand lifted immediately, stopping her with a protective gesture. But Sora looked up at him and said quietly, Daddy, please? That word, please, hit the room like a hammer. Jun-Woo held still. Chloe watched him fight with himself in silence. A man used to control, used to fear, used to never giving anyone the power to ask him for anything. Then, slowly, Jun-Woo lowered his hand. Sora walked to Chloe and held out her small palm. Chloe didn't grab it fast. She waited a breath, giving Sora the control. Sora placed her hand in Chloe's. Warm, trusting. Jun-Woo's eyes darkened, not with anger, with something more frightening. Need. And Chloe didn't understand it yet. But in that moment, something invisible locked into place between the three of them. A fragile beginning. A dangerous one. Jun-Woo's voice was flat when he spoke. You start tomorrow. Chloe blinked. Tomorrow. You wanted a job, he said. You have one. Chloe nodded quickly, holding her excitement down like a secret. Thank you, sir. Jun-Woo's gaze lingered on her hand holding Sora's. Then he looked away as if it burned. Don't thank me, he said. Just don't fail her. Chloe's voice was soft. I won't. Jun-Woo turned and walked away like the conversation was finished, like he hadn't just changed Chloe's life with 2 words. Sora squeezed Chloe's fingers gently, then whispered as if they were already friends. Do you like strawberries? Chloe smiled. I love strawberries. Sora's eyes lit up. I'll show you the garden tomorrow. There's a secret spot. Chloe nodded. It's a promise. Jun-Woo didn't turn around, but Chloe saw it. His shoulders stiffened for half a second. Like the word promise scared him, because promises were the kind of thing people broke. And from the way his home felt, beautiful, rich, and haunted, Chloe could tell Han Jun-Woo had lived through too many broken ones. And yet, Sora was smiling. And Jun-Woo was watching Chloe like she was both salvation and a threat. And Chloe, in the quietest way, realized her heart was already leaning toward a family that wasn't hers. 1 month earlier, Chloe had thought her life was over. Now she was standing inside a mansion ruled by a man people whispered about. A mafia king, a single father, and a little girl who laughed like she hadn't been allowed to laugh in years. Chloe didn't know it yet, but this job would change everything. And Han Jun-Woo, this emotionally frozen man who only knew power and loss, was about to discover something terrifying. He wasn't just hiring a nanny. He was inviting a woman into his world, and his heart was going to become obsessed with her. If you're already feeling this tension, don't just watch quietly. Tap like and subscribe right now so you don't miss the next Afro-Korea mafia love story. And tell me in the comments, do you think Chloe should trust a man like Jun-Woo or run? 1 month earlier, Chloe had been standing outside a tiny bakery in the rain, staring at her reflection in the glass. She looked exhausted. Her braids were pulled into a quick bun that wasn't cute, just practical. Her coat was too thin for the cold. And her eyes looked like someone who had been surviving instead of living. A week before that, she'd been fired. Not because she was bad at her job, but because she was unlucky. The family she worked for, wealthy, loud, and unstable, had blamed Chloe for their teenage son sneaking out at night. They needed someone to blame, and the nanny was the easiest target. Chloe had tried to defend herself, calm and respectful, but the mother had shouted, "You people always have excuses." That sentence stayed stuck in Chloe's chest like a thorn. You people. As if Chloe's skin automatically made her guilty. As if she was disposable. So Chloe left that house with her last paycheck and her dignity. And when the money ran out, reality got ugly fast. A friend took her in, but only for so long. Chloe was too proud to become a burden and too tired to keep pretending she wasn't scared. That was when the email came. A private household requesting a nanny. High pay. Strict confidentiality. Immediate start. Chloe almost didn't apply because the message didn't include a family name, just an address and a contact number. But the desperation was louder than her fear. And 2 days later, she was sitting in front of Han Jun-Woo, hearing him say, "Not a mother." Now, standing in her small borrowed room that night, Chloe stared at her phone and reread the contract he'd sent. The terms were heavy. Live-in position. No guests. No social media posts. No photos. No discussing her employers with anyone, ever. A security clause that made her swallow hard. But the salary number at the bottom almost made her cry. She could pay her debts. She could get her own place. She could breathe again. Chloe signed. She went to bed with her heart pounding, and for the first time in weeks, she slept. The next morning, Chloe arrived at the mansion with one suitcase and a quiet prayer. The staff greeted her politely, but there was a tension in the air, like everyone in that home was trained to watch and listen for danger. A woman named Mrs. Park, older, sharp, efficient, showed Chloe around with clipped instructions. "Sir Jun-Woo does not like noise," she said. "He does not like strangers. And he does not like questions." Chloe nodded. "Understood." Mrs. Park paused. "Miss Sora is sensitive. Do not push her." Chloe's chest softened. "I won't." Mrs. Park studied her face like she was trying to decide whether Chloe was genuine or just performing. Then she led Chloe up a hallway and opened a door. Sora's room looked like a princess room designed by a billionaire who didn't know what love looked like. Perfect furniture. Expensive toys. Books arranged neatly. But no mess. No warmth. No signs of a child who felt free. Sora sat at a small table by the window, drawing quietly. Chloe entered slowly. "Hi, Sora." Sora looked up, eyes cautious. Chloe lowered herself to Sora's level without invading her space. "I'm Chloe. I'm here to take care of you." Sora stared at her a long moment, then asked in a small voice, "Are you staying?" Chloe's heart cracked. Children didn't ask that unless people kept leaving. Chloe smiled gently. "Yes, I'm staying." Sora blinked as if she didn't believe it. Chloe glanced at the drawing. "Can I see?" Sora hesitated, then slid the paper forward. It was a picture of a house, a tall man, a little girl, and an empty space beside them. Chloe swallowed. Sora's voice was quiet. "That's where my mommy should be." Chloe's eyes stung. She kept her voice calm. "Tell me about her." Sora's lips trembled. "Daddy doesn't like when I talk about her." Chloe nodded slowly. "Then we can talk about anything you want. We can talk about strawberries and secret gardens. We can talk about books. We can talk about school. And when you're ready, we can talk about your mommy too." Sora studied Chloe like she was trying to understand a kindness she wasn't used to. Then she whispered, "Do you really like strawberries?" Chloe smiled. "I really do." Sora's eyes brightened just a little. Chloe knew then her job wasn't just feeding and bathing a child. Her job was to bring life back into a house that had turned grief into rules. And Jun-Woo? Jun-Woo watched it all. Not from the doorway. From a distance. Like a shadow. Chloe didn't see him at first, but she felt it. The heavy presence, the sense of being evaluated. When Chloe finally turned her head slightly, she caught him at the end of the hallway. He stood in a black suit, phone in hand, speaking quietly to someone. But his eyes were on Chloe, and he wasn't looking at her like an employer checking a staff member. He was looking at her like a man who didn't know whether to trust his own desire to keep her close. Jun-Woo ended the call and walked away. Chloe exhaled slowly. Something about him didn't just say danger. Something about him said loss. That night, Chloe learned the truth from Mrs. Park's quiet gossip. Jun-Woo's wife had died 3 years ago. Car accident. One moment alive, the next gone. Jun-Woo had been there. He'd held her hand while the doctors tried. And after she died, he never smiled the same again. He poured himself into business, into power, into becoming untouchable. And the whispers about him. Chloe heard them too. Korean mafia. Not a rumor. A fact everyone accepted, but no one dared say too loudly. Jun-Woo ruled a network that made enemies disappear. He wasn't just wealthy. He was feared. And yet, the only thing he seemed truly terrified of was losing his daughter too. That fear made him strict. It made him cold. And it made him dangerous in a different way. Over the next weeks, Chloe built a routine for Sora like she was building a bridge. Morning breakfast together, no staff hovering unless necessary. After-school snack and story time. Gardening on weekends. Little things that turned a mansion into a home. Sora changed fast. She began to laugh, to talk more, to run through the hallways with socked feet. One day she hugged Chloe, so suddenly Chloe nearly cried right there on the carpet. And Jun-Woo noticed. He noticed when Sora started eating more, when she began sleeping without nightmares, when the staff stopped moving like they were holding their breath all day. He noticed the sound of Sora's laugh echoing down the hallways. And every time he heard it, his gaze would drift to the source, to Chloe. At first, Jun-Woo kept his distance. He spoke to Chloe only when necessary. His words were short, direct. Her schedule, her grades, her safety. But Chloe began to notice the way his eyes stayed on her longer than they should. The way he would appear at the edge of a room and stand there quietly, pretending he was passing by, when really he was watching her play with Sora. The way he would ask Mrs. Park what Chloe ate for dinner. The way he would notice small details like a new braid style, or the perfume Chloe wore when she went out to pick Sora up from school. Chloe tried to ignore it, because men like Jun-Woo weren't safe to fall for. And Chloe had learned the hard way that love didn't protect you from being hurt. But Jun-Woo began to lose control in small ways. He would come home late, exhausted, and then stop at the doorway of the living room where Chloe and Sora sat reading. He wouldn't speak. He would just stand there, watching Chloe's face as she read, watching Sora lean into Chloe's side like she belonged there. One night, Sora fell asleep on Chloe's lap. Chloe carefully lifted her and carried her upstairs. When she returned to the living room, Jun-Woo was standing by the window, hands in his pockets, staring out into the dark. Chloe hesitated. "Sir, Sora is asleep." Jun-Woo didn't turn. "I know." Chloe swallowed. "Is there anything else you need?" Jun-Woo finally faced her. His eyes were darker than usual, like he hadn't slept in days. "What did you do to her?" he asked. Chloe blinked. "What?" "She smiles now," Jun-Woo said, voice tight. "She laughs. She runs around like she forgot to be afraid." Chloe's heart softened. "I didn't do anything to her. I listened." Jun-Woo stared at her like her answer hurt him. He stepped closer, slowly, like he was approaching something fragile. "And you?" he said quietly. "Are you afraid?" Chloe's throat tightened. She wanted to say yes, because she was, but she didn't want to give him that power. So she met his gaze. "Not of you." Jun-Woo's jaw flexed. For a second, something dangerous flickered across his face. Not anger, desire. Then he turned away sharply, like he was furious at himself for feeling it. "You should sleep," he said flatly. Chloe nodded. "Good night, sir." Jun-Woo, he corrected without thinking. Chloe paused. "What?" He cleared his throat, voice rough. "Call me Jun-Woo. In this house. For Sora." Chloe stared at him. Jun-Woo never let anyone call him by his first name unless they were close, unless they mattered. And Chloe realized something in that moment. Jun-Woo wasn't just watching her. He was getting attached, and he didn't know how to stop. Then the danger showed up. It always does in mafia worlds. It started small. A black car parked too long outside the gate one afternoon. A stranger lingering near Sora's school pickup line. Mrs. Park insisting Chloe take a different route home. Jun-Woo's guards doubling. Jun-Woo's face hardening again, shutting down the warmth Chloe had started to see. Chloe tried to ask, but Jun-Woo's response was cold. "Do your job," he said. "And don't pry." But Chloe saw it. The way Jun-Woo's hands tightened when his phone rang. The way he spoke in Korean in a low voice, sharp and deadly. The way the staff moved faster, quieter, like they were preparing for impact. Then it happened. A sunny afternoon. Chloe took Sora to a small private park inside a gated community, safe, controlled, quiet. Sora ran ahead with her little backpack, laughing. Chloe sat on a bench, watching her, smiling. And then, a man stepped from behind a tree. Not a parent, not a jogger. His eyes locked onto Sora like she was a prize. Chloe's blood went cold. Before she could move, another man appeared from the opposite side. Chloe stood instantly. Sora noticed Chloe's tone shift and froze. The first man walked closer, smiling. "That's the boss's daughter, right?" Chloe's heart slammed. She grabbed Sora's hand immediately. "Sora, run to the gate. Now." Sora's eyes widened. "Chloe, now." Chloe snapped, pushing Sora forward. The men moved fast. One lunged towards Sora. Chloe stepped in front of her. The man grabbed Chloe's arm hard. trying to yank her away. Pain shot through Chloe's shoulder. But Chloe didn't scream. She fought. She shoved him back with every ounce of strength she had, putting her body between him and Sora like a shield. The second man reached for Sora's backpack. Chloe grabbed a metal water bottle from the bench and swung. It hit the man's wrist with a crack. He cursed, backing up. Sora was crying now, running toward the gate like Chloe told her. The first man grabbed Chloe again, stronger this time, trying to drag her away as leverage. Chloe's feet scraped the pavement. She kicked. She elbowed. She bit his hand so hard she tasted blood, his blood. He shouted, loosening his grip. Chloe stumbled back, breath ragged, eyes wild. She didn't care if she looked crazy. She only cared about Sora getting out. And then the sound came. A car. Tires screaming. A black SUV barreled into the park entrance so fast it nearly jumped the curb. The door flew open. Han Jun-Woo stepped out. And the air changed. The two men froze instantly like prey recognizing the predator they'd provoked. Jun-Woo didn't shout. He didn't threaten. He simply walked toward them, eyes dead. Two guards appeared beside him, weapons not raised. But their presence was enough to make the attackers panic. One of the men tried to run. Jun-Woo didn't chase. He only spoke, one cold sentence in Korean. The guard moved like lightning, grabbing the man and slamming him to the ground. Chloe's chest heaved. Her arm throbbed where she'd been grabbed. Sora ran back toward Chloe, sobbing, and Chloe dropped to her knees and held her tight. Jun-Woo reached them in seconds. His gaze swept over Sora first, checking for injuries. Then his eyes snapped to Chloe, and the look on his face wasn't just anger. It was terror. The kind of terror a man feels when he almost loses something he didn't realize he'd started to need. Chloe stood slowly, still holding Sora. Jun-Woo's voice was low. Are you hurt? Chloe nodded slightly, trying to stay calm for Sora. I'm okay. Jun-Woo's eyes locked onto the red marks forming on Chloe's arm. His jaw clenched so hard Chloe thought his teeth might crack. He reached out without thinking, fingers hovering over her bruise like he didn't know if he had the right to touch. Chloe flinched slightly, not from fear, but from how intense his concern felt. Jun-Woo's hand froze. Then he lowered it, eyes dark. Get in the car, he said, voice rough. Chloe obeyed, because for the first time, she understood fully. This wasn't just a boss with enemies. This was a father fighting a war for his child. And Chloe had just stepped into that war with her bare hands. Back at the mansion, Jun-Woo's guards swarmed the property. The staff whispered. Sora was taken upstairs, calmed, given warm tea, tucked into bed with Chloe sitting beside her until her breathing slowed. Jun-Woo waited outside Sora's door like a statue. When Chloe finally stepped out, Jun-Woo grabbed her wrist, not harsh, but firm, like he needed proof she was real. Chloe inhaled sharply. Jun-Woo's eyes were burning. Why did you do that? Chloe blinked. Do what? Put yourself in front of them, he said, voice rising just slightly. You could have been killed. Chloe's throat tightened. She could have been taken. Jun-Woo stared at her like he couldn't understand her logic. You don't even know her that long, he snapped. Chloe's voice stayed calm. I know enough. Jun-Woo's grip tightened, then loosened like he realized he was holding her. He released her wrist immediately, but his eyes didn't release her at all. Chloe took a slow breath. Jun-Woo, who were they? His face hardened again. It doesn't concern you. Chloe's eyes flashed. It concerned me when they touched me. It concerned me when they tried to grab a little girl. Jun-Woo's gaze sharpened, but under it was something like respect and fear. He stepped closer. You don't understand what you've stepped into. Chloe lifted her chin. Then explain it. Jun-Woo's breathing was heavy, like he was fighting a storm inside himself. He looked away, jaw flexing. A rival. They want leverage. Chloe's heart sank. Leverage against you, using your daughter. Jun-Woo's eyes turned back to her, raw now. I promised her mother I would keep her safe. The words sounded like they hurt to say. Chloe softened. You're trying. Jun-Woo's laugh was bitter. Trying isn't enough. Chloe stepped closer, careful. Then let me help. Jun-Woo's eyes flickered to her lips again. Then he spoke in a voice so low it felt intimate. You already did. Silence. Then Jun-Woo suddenly moved. One step closer, closing the space between them. Chloe's pulse jumped. Jun-Woo's gaze was intense, almost desperate. I watched you today, he said. I watched you fight for her like you were her blood. Chloe swallowed. She feels like family. Jun-Woo's eyes darkened. And you? Chloe's breath caught. What? Jun-Woo's voice broke slightly, just a crack. When I thought you might not stand up again, when I saw his hands on you. He stopped. Because Mafia Kings didn't say, I was afraid. They didn't say, I need you. They didn't say, I'm losing control. But Jun-Woo's eyes said all of it. Chloe whispered, Jun-Woo. His name sounded different on her tongue now. Jun-Woo leaned in, slow, like he was asking without asking. Chloe didn't move away. And the kiss that followed wasn't wild. It was controlled, careful, like two people testing whether they were allowed to want each other. But it was still powerful enough to make Chloe's knees feel weak. Jun-Woo pulled back slightly, forehead almost touching hers. His voice was rough. This is why I said don't form attachments. Chloe's breath trembled. Too late. Jun-Woo's eyes flashed. He stepped back quickly, like he hated himself for giving in. This can't happen, he said, voice tight. You're not safe with me. Chloe's eyes narrowed. You think pushing me away will keep us safe? Jun-Woo's gaze was hard. Yes. Chloe's voice was firm. No. It will only make us alone. Jun-Woo stared at her like no one had ever spoken to him like that. Then he turned away abruptly. Go to your room. Chloe didn't move. What about Sora? Jun-Woo's voice softened slightly. She sleeps. Chloe stepped closer again, voice low but steady. Jun-Woo. I'm not here to replace your wife. I'm not here to take her place. Jun-Woo's shoulders tensed. Chloe continued. But Sora needs warmth. And you? She hesitated, then said it anyway. You need someone to remind you you're still human. Jun-Woo turned back slowly. His eyes were stormy. You don't know what I've done. Chloe swallowed. I don't need to. I know what you did today. Jun-Woo's jaw tightened. Chloe stepped even closer, careful, brave. You came for her. You came for me. Jun-Woo's lips parted slightly like he wanted to say something. But the sound of a small door opening interrupted them. Sora's voice, sleepy and small. Daddy? Jun-Woo's entire expression changed. The storm in his eyes softened instantly, as if his daughter's voice was the only thing that could disarm him. Chloe turned. Sora stood in the hallway, holding her stuffed bunny, rubbing her eyes. Chloe's heart squeezed. Jun-Woo walked toward her quickly, crouching to her level. Why are you awake? Sora's voice trembled. I had a bad dream. Jun-Woo's hand hovered awkwardly, like he didn't know how to comfort her properly. Chloe stepped forward gently and knelt beside Sora. Do you want me to sit with you until you sleep? Sora nodded quickly. Then she looked at her father with big, serious eyes. Daddy, don't be angry at Chloe. She saved me. Jun-Woo's throat moved as if he swallowed something sharp. He looked at Chloe, and for the first time, he didn't look at her like an employee. He looked at her like a woman who had entered his life and refused to be scared. Jun-Woo stood, then spoke softly to Sora. Chloe will stay with you. Sora's eyes brightened. Will you stay too? Jun-Woo froze. Chloe watched him, watched the struggle on his face. The fear of attachment. The fear of love. The fear of losing again. Then, slowly, Jun-Woo nodded. Yes. Sora smiled, sleepy and satisfied. Okay. Upstairs, in Sora's room, the three of them sat together. Sora curled between them on the bed like she belonged there, holding Chloe's hand with one hand and Jun-Woo's sleeve with the other. Chloe read a story softly. Jun-Woo sat stiffly at first. Then, little by little, he relaxed. Sora's breathing slowed. Her eyes closed. And when the room finally went quiet, Chloe looked up at Jun-Woo. Jun-Woo was watching her. Not cold now. Not guarded. Just undone. If that kidnapping attempt shocked you, pause for 1 second. Hit like if Chloe's courage made you proud. And comment. If you were Chloe, would you stay in Jun-Woo's house after this, or would you quit immediately? I want to know what you'd do. Jun-Woo's voice was barely a whisper. She likes you. Chloe's heart softened. I like her too. Jun-Woo's gaze dropped to Chloe's bruised arm. You're hurt because of me. Chloe shrugged lightly. It's not your fault people are evil. Jun-Woo's jaw tightened. It is my fault they have access to my life. Chloe studied his face, seeing the grief hidden underneath the power. Jun-Woo, did you love your wife? His eyes flickered. For a second, Chloe thought he wouldn't answer. Then he said, voice low, yes. Chloe waited. Jun-Woo's eyes grew distant. She was light. In a dark life. Chloe's chest tightened. He swallowed. When she died, the light left. And I decided the only way to survive was to become the darkness. Chloe's voice was soft. But Sora needs light. Jun-Woo's gaze snapped back to her. That's why you can't stay. Chloe frowned. Why? Jun-Woo's voice was raw now. Because you're becoming her light. And mine. Chloe's heart hammered. Jun-Woo looked at her like he hated the fact he was vulnerable. I don't know how to be a man who loves again. Chloe whispered. You don't have to know immediately. Jun-Woo's laugh was quiet and bitter. Love is a weakness in my world. Chloe's eyes hardened slightly. No. Love is why you're still fighting. Jun-Woo stared at her. And the silence between them changed. It stopped being employer and nanny. It became man and woman. Jun-Woo stepped closer, slow. Chloe didn't retreat. His hand lifted. This time he didn't hesitate. He gently touched Chloe's bruised arm with his fingertips, careful like she was made of glass. Chloe inhaled sharply. Jun-Woo's voice was low. I wanted to kill him for touching you. Chloe's breath caught. Jun-Woo's eyes darkened. That's not normal for me. Chloe swallowed. Maybe it is. You just didn't let yourself feel it before. Jun-Woo stared at her like she'd said something dangerous. Then he whispered, I think about you. Chloe's heart slammed. Jun-Woo. I think about you when I'm in meetings, he continued, voice rough, like confession was painful. I think about how you tilt your head when you listen to Sora. How you laugh quietly when she says something silly. I catch myself wondering what you're doing when you're not in my sight. Chloe's throat tightened. That sounds like obsession. Jun-Woo's lips twitched, almost a smile, but not quite. It is. Chloe's breath trembled. Why? Jun-Woo's eyes locked on hers. Because you walked into my dead house and brought it back to life. The words sank into Chloe's chest. She whispered, Jun-Woo. I'm scared. His eyes softened slightly. Of me? Chloe shook her head. Of how this could end. Jun-Woo's jaw tightened. I don't want it to end. Chloe stared at him. And then he said the words that changed everything. I don't want you to leave. Chloe's breath caught. Jun-Woo looked away for half a second, voice lower. But if you stay, my enemies will come again. And next time, I may not reach you in time. Chloe's eyes filled slightly. So what do we do? Jun-Woo turned back to her, decision hardening. I fix it. Chloe frowned. How? Jun-Woo's voice was cold again, but now it was controlled. I end the threat. Chloe's stomach tightened. Jun-Woo, what does that mean? Jun-Woo didn't answer directly. It means you don't leave this house without guards. It means you listen to me. It means you trust me. Chloe's voice trembled. I want to trust you. Jun-Woo stepped closer, his hand moving to her cheek gently, unexpectedly tender. Then do. And he kissed her again, this time deeper, like he'd been starving. Chloe's fingers curled into his shirt. The kiss wasn't just desire. It was grief and hope colliding. It was a man who had buried his heart, finding it again in the most impossible place. When Jun-Woo finally pulled away, his forehead rested against Chloe's. His voice was a whisper. You're mine. Chloe's breath trembled. Jun-Woo. He exhaled slowly. And Sora, she already chose you. Chloe swallowed hard, emotion rising. I love her. Jun-Woo's eyes softened. I know. Chloe's voice barely worked. And I think. She hesitated. Jun-Woo waited, breath held. Chloe whispered, I'm falling for you too. Jun-Woo closed his eyes for 1 second like her words were both relief and fear. Then he opened them, and the softness was gone, replaced by resolve. Then I will make my world safe enough for you. The next weeks were a storm behind closed doors. Jun-Woo's guards increased. His meetings got longer. His phone calls got darker. Chloe noticed the staff whispering more often. Mrs. Park looked worried. Sora clung to Chloe more, sensing the tension. One night, Chloe overheard a conversation in Korean outside Jun-Woo's office. Angry voices, threats, a name repeated. Kong. Jun-Woo's rival. Chloe's stomach tightened. She didn't know mafia politics, but she knew one thing. When a man like Jun-Woo started moving pieces, someone was about to fall. Then the second attack came. It happened at the mansion. Late at night, Chloe woke up to the sound of glass breaking. She sat up instantly, heart pounding. Then she heard Sora's terrified scream. Chloe flew out of bed, barefoot, running down the hall. Sora's door was open. The curtains were blowing. The window was shattered, and a shadowy figure was inside the room. Chloe's blood turned to ice. Sora was in the corner, crying, clutching her bunny. Chloe didn't think. She grabbed the nearest thing, a heavy decorative lamp, and swung it like her life depended on it. The intruder turned. He moved fast. Chloe stepped between him and Sora again. He lunged. Chloe swung again, connecting with his shoulder. He cursed, reaching for her. Chloe screamed, not in fear, but in fury. Get out. And then, gunshots in the hallway. Not aimed at Chloe. Not spraying. Controlled. Precise. Jun-Woo's guards rushed in. The intruder panicked, trying to escape through the window. A guard tackled him. Chloe's chest heaved. Sora sobbed. Jun-Woo appeared at the door in seconds. His face was terrifying. Not because it was angry, because it was empty. Like whatever human softness Chloe had pulled from him had been locked away again, replaced by something colder. Jun-Woo moved straight to Sora, scooping her up gently. "Are you hurt?" he asked, voice controlled. Sora shook her head, sobbing into his shoulder. Jun-Woo's gaze snapped to Chloe. Chloe was shaking now, adrenaline wearing off, hands trembling around the lamp. Jun-Woo took 2 steps toward her, eyes blazing. "Did he touch you?" Chloe swallowed. "No." Jun-Woo's jaw clenched. He turned to his guard, speaking in Korean, voice low and lethal. Chloe didn't understand the words, but she understood the tone. It wasn't "call the police." It was "end this." The guards dragged the intruder away. Jun-Woo carried Sora out of the room, nodding at Chloe. "Come." They went to a secure room in the mansion, thick door, reinforced windows. Sora sat on a couch wrapped in a blanket, Chloe holding her hand. Jun-Woo paced like a caged animal. Then his phone rang. He answered, listening. His face didn't change, but the air changed again. When he hung up, he turned to Chloe. "This ends tonight." Chloe's stomach dropped. Jun-Woo. Jun-Woo's voice was icy. "They broke into my home. They threatened my child." Chloe's voice trembled. "Please, don't do something you can't come back from." Jun-Woo stepped closer, eyes burning. "I already did things I can't come back from. Long before you." Chloe swallowed hard. "Then let this be the first thing you do come back from." Jun-Woo froze. Like her words hit somewhere deep. Sora whispered, voice small, "Daddy, don't go." Jun-Woo's entire body tensed. He looked at his daughter. Then he looked at Chloe. And Chloe saw it. The war inside him. The man who rules by violence. The father who wants peace. The broken husband still grieving. The new lover who doesn't know how to love without fear. Jun-Woo's voice softened slightly. "I won't leave you." Chloe's chest loosened. Then Jun-Woo added, voice hard again, "But I will finish this." Chloe's heart sank. "How?" Jun-Woo's gaze was steady. "I step back. I change the rules. I make it impossible for Kong to reach you." Chloe blinked. "You're going to step back?" Jun-Woo's mouth tightened. "I built an empire with blood. Now I will protect you with strategy." He walked to a safe inside the wall, opened it, pulled out documents. He called his trusted lieutenant. Orders were given. Legal moves, financial freezes, cutting routes, removing leverage. Chloe listened, stunned. Jun-Woo wasn't just a violent man. He was brilliant. A king. And he was moving like a chess master now, not a murderer. Hours later, the mansion quieted again. The danger wasn't gone. But the immediate threat felt contained. Sora fell asleep against Chloe, exhaustion winning. Jun-Woo sat across from Chloe, watching them like he was seeing his own life differently for the first time. His voice was low. "I should never have hired you." Chloe frowned. "Why?" Jun-Woo's gaze softened. "Because now I can't imagine this house without you." Chloe's throat tightened. Jun-Woo's voice cracked slightly. "I thought I was done being a husband. Done being anything but a boss." He swallowed. "But you came in and made me feel again." Chloe whispered, "That's not a curse." Jun-Woo stared at her, eyes raw. "It is if it gets you hurt." Chloe reached out, touching his hand gently. "Jun-Woo, I'm still here." He looked down at her hand. Then he flipped his palm upward and held her hand fully, tight. Like he was terrified she'd disappear. Jun-Woo's voice was barely a whisper. "I can't lose you." Chloe's eyes filled. "Then don't push me away." Jun-Woo's throat moved. "I tried." Chloe breathed out shakily. "And?" Jun-Woo's eyes locked on hers. "And it didn't work." Chloe's heart hammered. Jun-Woo leaned forward, voice low. "I'm obsessed with you, Chloe." Chloe's breath caught. Jun-Woo continued, blunt, honest now. "Not in a childish way. Not in a game. In a way that terrifies me. Because you matter." Chloe whispered, "Then say what you mean." Jun-Woo held her gaze, then spoke the words like he was placing his heart on the table. "I love you." Chloe's entire body went still. Jun-Woo's jaw clenched like he expected rejection. Chloe's voice trembled. "Jun-Woo, I love you too." Jun-Woo's eyes closed briefly, relief and pain mixing. Then he stood, came around the table, and pulled Chloe into his arms carefully, like he was holding something precious he didn't deserve. Chloe melted into him, tears slipping down her cheek. Jun-Woo's voice was rough in her ear. I will make you my wife. Not for business. Not for image. Because I want you beside me. Chloe pulled back slightly, stunned. Jun-Woo. He looked at her like he was done hiding. I want you and Sora. Together. A family. Chloe's heart squeezed painfully. She glanced down at Sora sleeping peacefully. Chloe whispered, she deserves that. Jun-Woo nodded. So do you. Chloe swallowed. And your world. Jun-Woo's gaze hardened. I'll change it. The next morning, Jun-Woo announced changes. He moved operations away from the home. He increased legitimate business fronts. He stopped attending certain meetings personally. He promoted people he trusted to handle the darker work, then began cutting that darker work off piece by piece. It wasn't a clean exit. It wasn't easy. But he started. Because Chloe became a reason. Sora became a reason. And for a man like Jun-Woo, reasons were rare. Weeks turned into months. The threats reduced. Kang's influence weakened under Jun-Woo's strategic pressure. Chloe's bruises faded. Sora's smile stayed. And the mansion, once quiet and haunted, filled with life. One afternoon, Chloe and Sora stood in the garden picking strawberries. Sora giggled, her cheeks stained red from juice. Jun-Woo walked toward them, sleeves rolled up, tie missing, looking less like a mafia king and more like a man learning to live. Sora ran to him. Daddy, Chloe says we should make strawberry cake. Jun-Woo lifted Sora easily, kissing her cheek. Chloe says many things. Chloe laughed softly. And you listen now. Jun-Woo's eyes held Chloe's. Only to the right woman. Chloe's heart skipped. Sora looked between them, eyes sparkling. You're like a real family. Jun-Woo froze slightly. Chloe held her breath. Sora stepped forward, grabbed Chloe's hand, then reached for Jun-Woo's free hand. She pulled them together like she was connecting pieces that always belonged. Sora beamed. We're a family. Jun-Woo looked down at their joined hands. Then he looked at Chloe, and for the first time, he smiled fully, soft, real, loving. Yes, Jagia, he said, voice warm. We are. Chloe's eyes filled with tears again, but this time they weren't tears of fear. They were tears of finally finding a home. Not in a place, but in people. And if you stayed until the end, you're officially part of the Afro-Korea family. So hit subscribe right now, tap like, and comment family if you want more single dad mafia romance stories like this. Also tell me, should Jun-Woo fully leave the mafia life? Or is his darkness what makes him irresistible?